Someone's trying way too hard to kiss.
This is America. Don't catch you slipping now. Don't catch you slipping now. Look what I'm whipping now.
うるさい！母さんだってそんな親父待つうちに疲れて死んじゃったんだ。
God damn, kid.
ジョーさん、ほら、ダイアナさんも踊ろう。踊ろう。さあ、踊りましょう。Dance magic dance, magic dance, magic dance. Let's make it started.
What's up, everyone? I am the Kaiju no Kami from the Toku and Animation News Network, and today I'm taking a look at the 1986 Metal Hero series Jikuu Senshi Spielban. As Juspion came to an end, Shozo Uehara began working on the next series. Titles thrown around included Metal Man and Great Space Warrior Starlan, only to eventually become known as Dimensional Warrior Spielban, with the title paying tribute to director Steven Spielberg. Additionally, this series marked Uehara's 20th anniversary in the entertainment industry, and in being such, Uehara felt he wanted to incorporate that 20 years worth of knowledge into it, providing audiences with the best show imaginable. Keita Amemiya was also hired on to be the main character designer who had worked on some of the monsters in Juspion. As such, Spielban was set up to be a masterpiece in the making. If you did not know this, Spielban is the final series to make up VR Troopers in America.
Okay, let's show this guy what real firepower is. You got it. Ready? Let's rock.
Is Spielban a masterpiece, or is it as worthless as contaminated water? Let's watch to find out. The Heroes. Spielban features 3 transforming heroes, Spielban himself and 2 female companions. Shiraven's Hirofumi Watari returns as our lead hero, Spielban, who takes up the human name of Joe Yosuke.
みんなひどい目に遭ってる。助けてやって。
わかった。約束しよう。
Watari was also Boomerang in Juspion, but an injury meant his character had to be prematurely retired. So what better way was there to welcome him back than to make him the lead hero of our newest show? Additionally, he is partnered with stunt actress Makoto Sumikawa, Diana.
ヘレンはヘルバイラになってあなたに襲いかかったわ。それを恐れて。
またアンドロイドかも。
アンドロイドは倒したわ。今度こそ本物のヘレンよ。
Sumikawa also stars Kotaro's girlfriend in Kamen Rider Black RX. Finally, Naomi Morinaga, Annie and Scheider, came in to play Spielban's long-lost sister Helen.
お父様。スピルバンはあなたの息子です。
お父様？
ベン博士。そうです。あなたのお父様です。
Wow, Shiraven and Annie in one show together? This is going to be amazing. 14 years prior, an alien race known as Water invaded a planet called Klin and kidnapped the biologist and his daughter. This ended up being Spielban's dad, Dr. Ben, and Helen.
家族みんなが死ぬことになるぞ。それ。何すんだ。離せ。離せ。
Klin's waters were ravaged beyond comprehension, leaving the survivors to flee the planet in search for a new home. Unfortunately, things go awry, and the refugees send a young Spielban and Diana on a 12-year trip to planet Earth in search of water on a ship called the Grand Nazca.
君たち2人は超時空戦闘母艦グランナスカで地球へ向かう。地球もクリン星とよく似た惑星だ。水 物が飲みきれないほどある。
Their family and friends meet an untimely fate, leaving them as the last of their people.
僕とダイアナを送り出し見送ったクリン星の人々は幸せの歌を歌いながら暗黒の宇宙空間で永遠の眠りについたのだ。
Spielban and Diana spend the next 12 years asleep in a suspension chamber that also mentally educates them on top of growing them new clothes to go with their ever-expanding bodies.
栄養、酸素、水分、その年齢に応じた知識などは全て装置が与えてくれる。
お前がいるから友達そうさお前はもう
14年間の歳月をかけて2人は地球へたどり着いた。
They spend the remaining 2 years training to battle Water and acclimatize themselves to Earth. When the series begins, Water has situated themselves in Canada only to be attacked by Spielban and Diana, who crystallize into armored suits.
Jikuu Senshi Spielberg
決勝
Water flees to Japan, thus Spielban and Diana follow suit. It is here where the majority of our series takes place, and we get to learn a lot about Spielban and Diana. I really love the dynamic of these two, especially the fact that Diana can transform into a warrior as well. While I do think Annie should have done so back in Shider, it's better to be late than never, so this is a nice evolution, one that is quite fitting for Uehara's final Metal Heroes show. Diana is a fine character whose motivations go hand in hand with Spielban, given she too has lost her home and family. It does feel like sometimes Uehara was unsure what to do with her, as she will be a damsel every now and then without warning. Other times she has her moments of fan service, for she loves to attack her enemies with her hips.
ダイアナヒッププレスいかがエッチなキンクロンさんヒッププレス一緒に決まった
It's an awkward running gag that fortunately doesn't overstay its welcome. It's just weird. I do find it funny that Diana's hair grows over the course of the series, but her transformation sequence was never updated. So every time she transforms, her hair reverts back to how short it was at the beginning. If you didn't know, Diana and Spielban share feelings for one another. One thing I have to commend Spielban on is how smart this dude is. Anytime something weird seems to be happening, his water senses activate as he straight up realizes they must be involved.
いつもと様子が違う。それに何やら匂う。あの店。
匂う。
ワーラーの匂い。
It's pretty refreshing compared to the heroes who always just accidentally stumble on the villainous plot of the day. Alternatively, he has super plot armor. Finish him! Missed. Plot armor. Spielban's suit is very reminiscent of Juspion's, but black, silver, and red. Lady Diana's is red and white. She wields a gun while Spielban utilizes both a gun and a sword that can go Darth Maul on its opponents whenever Spielban gets angry.
Our dream pulse!
No, those sound effects were not added in by me. They were already there. Speaking of Star Wars, one of the vehicles Spielban pilots looks very familiar.
You'll stay back far enough to cover you.
Let him go. Stay on the lead.
Now those sound effects I am totally guilty for. There's also a drilling machine. A motorcycle that can fly. course, the Grand Nazca. Grand Nazca is Spielban and Diana's home that can transform into a giant gun and a giant robot. Sadly, the giant robot was quite a letdown. It is shown in the ending credits in the first episode, but doesn't actually make an appearance until episode 28. Thus, I had been waiting and waiting to finally see it in action, expecting that they were holding off to introduce it in some momentous occasion. Instead, it just randomly appears and ends up becoming a one-note gimmick going forward. Nothing exciting is ever done with Grand Nazca's robot form, which is a real shame. At least it had a purpose compared to a certain ninja mech. Similarly to the different dimensions each villain group in the Space Sheriff series could send our hero to, Spielban has his own ability that will transport all enemies, so he can avoid endangering innocent civilians and destruction of property.
近くに幼稚園がある。スピルバンバイパススリップ。
I'm guessing this means Spielban does not have the superhero insurance to cover for any damages that occur in battle. Spielban and Diana end up befriending a brother and sister upon arriving in Japan. They are Daigoro and Miwa, played by Katsunobu Ito and Mizuzu Sato.
お兄ちゃん、もう少しお金になるものを発明してよ。今月も赤字よ。
天才は一度よりも貧乏なのだ。
Daigoro is an inventor who is constantly making new robots to try and become a rich and famous scientist, while Miwa is afraid he is going to wipe out what little funds they have to survive on. It doesn't help that Daigoro is always trying to impress women, especially Diana, and will do whatever he can to do such.
ダイアナさんの車に乗せてもらったんだ。
バカ者！先が許さん。ダイアナさん、僕も一緒に乗せてください。さあ行きましょう。
大五郎さん。
行きましょうね。はい。
I really hate Daigoro because his antics got really annoying after the first few episodes, and he really came across as more of a creeper than a good guy. Fortunately, his screen time diminishes as the show hits the teens. I understand their purpose was parallel to Kojiro's in the Space Sheriff trilogy to help humanize our alien heroes and to act as the audience's exposition of Japanese culture. However, they just didn't work well, and Daigoro's cartoonish, over-the-top antics conflicted with the more serious nature of the show.
いらっしゃい。
わあ、伝説の竜宮城人魚ちゃん、こんにちは。超天才か超低能。
Kojiro's personality was reflected in the tone each Space Sheriff series was trying to convey, whereas Daigoro was an antithesis to this. Therefore, he had to go. Still, I do wish they had made at least one appearance towards the climax, as the duo just ups and disappears after episode 19 without any notice. Yes, the show was better without them, but they were still characters who were central in its first half and deserved a proper send-off.
You sure about that?
Just a word of warning. The remaining section of the Heroes review is kinda like some slight minor spoilers I can't avoid. So if you don't want to know them, skip right to the villains section. Otherwise, enjoy. One of the best things about Spielban is how much development he receives right from the start of the show. The first episode does a basic introduction before spending the next several episodes really building up his plight with his sister and dad. It's quite a nice change of pace since the Space Sheriff series usually waited until the early teens to start kicking those shows' central plot into gear. It also helps that we see the fates of his dad and Helen right away, so there is no holding back on obvious plot points, which is with his father being turned into a water scientist while Helen is used to keep his loyalties in check. Additionally, Helen is transformed into a suited warrior named Helvira, which acts as a split personality from her as she has no control over her actions nor memory of what she does in that form. Her father was unwilling to fully commit to turning her into a monster, so she can only stay as Helvira for a limited amount of time before the energies need to be recharged.
どうしたのです、ドクターバイオ。なぜヘレンに戻ってしまったのです。
ヘルバイラは一定のエネルギーを使い果たすと
It's an interesting concept of tragedy, as there is a point in the show where Helen moves around from location to location, acquiring a new job at each place, not knowing when she will be turned into Helvira again, trying to avoid interacting with her brother at all costs. Furthermore, Spielban can only hypothesize that Helvira is Helen without knowing the facts. For the first half of the series, they pretty much only communicate through coded messages they used to do as children.
僕たちは子供の頃、よく暗号ごっこして遊んだ。また連れ戻されてしまったらしい。せっかく逃げ出したのに。
In time, she is absolved of her Helvira persona and joins up with her brother and Diana to become a third hero.
決勝
I find this idea really neat, though I wish the execution had been better. Helen's transformed suit is identical to Diana's in every way sans a missing gun holster. Helen utilizes a dagger-like boomerang. The lack of a gun is the only way to know which one is in battle, which is a real shame as it feels like a major lack of forethought went into Lady Helen's suit. I have 3 different ideas of what could have been done to solve this shoddiness. First, they could have reversed the colors, so all whites become red and all reds become white. The second idea is changing all of the whites to black. The third, which might have made the most sense, was reusing the Helvira suit but giving her a new helmet. Either of those would have been acceptable and would have been most welcomed. Instead, we basically have Lady Diana 2.0. The villains. Water is in search of a clean water source to survive. Does this mean they're from Flint, Michigan? It only makes sense that a group of aliens who need fresh water to exist would come to a planet that is 70% water. Unlike those aliens from another movie that die from water. Water itself is a liquefied being who speaks through his second in command, Queen Pandora.
人間を自由に操るにはどうしたらよいか。それはお金や品物をどっさりと与えて精神的に堕落させるのが一番の早道ではないか。
Pandora, huh? I guess I now know why she wasn't named that in Zyuranger.
若い娘たちの肉体がミイラになれば出産もできません。赤ちゃんが生まれなくなる。
Pandora tends to give orders and punish those who fail her, though she will partake in a plot herself every now and then.
朝1時間、昼1時間、夜1時間、寝る前に1時間、心静かにお聞きなさい。あなたはガイアになれます。
Most of the time she stays on their ship and gets mad in the only way Machiko Soga can.
容器はワーラー帝国の大幹部。大幹部に立てつくとはフラチ千番。
An interesting piece to note of her is that the Water Empire is compiled of both machines and organic beings, to which Pandora is a fusion of the two. General Death Zero leads Water's troops to battle. This totally not Gobot is voiced by favorite Shozo Uehara, who I don't think I need to list at this point if you've been following my other Metal Heroes reviews.
謝るなよスピルバン。ガイオスで突入するのは優しい。
Death Zero leads the Battle Robot Army, which make up the majority of the monsters of the week. Not to be confused with the Battle Robot Army of Metalder. Though, some of them did briefly appear in Metalder, like this guy.
寄りつく人は少ない伝説の山である。そして最近、一つ山しかありない。すでに10名が犠牲になる。
He is completely loyal to Pandora and will do whatever he deems necessary to serve her cause. He is also very mistrusting of newcomers, questioning their loyalties, which can get him into trouble.
ドクターバイオ、テストは成功した。いよいよスピルバン潰し。ちょっと待ってくれ。毒ガス機能をプラスしたい。
Death Zero does suffer a midlife crisis right at the end of the series, as he comes to ponder if he would be successful if he had a lover and tries to make Diana his wife.
結婚してちょうだい。お前は敵だけど可愛いし、考えて決めたんだね。いいでしょ。I love you, ダイアナちゃん。ふざけないで。
Sure, why not? Dr. Ben was transformed into the devious Dr. Bio. All of his memories of everyone except Helen were erased during this procedure.
どうでしょうか。デスゼロを将軍でさえ手を焼いた相手に ヘレンをいくら改造したとしても
Dr. Bio's job is to find a way to create organic monsters and human clones that are undetectable in order to replace top officials. At the same time, he tends to Helen's needs, always doing what is ordered of him to keep her safe.
なぜお前はワーラー様のご意志に背くんだ。罰を受けたいのか。
仕方がありません。
今度こそどんな目に遭うかわからないんだぞ。
Death Zero suggests at one point that he turn Helen into a suicide bomber to rid them of Spielban, a notion Dr. Bio immediately rejects.
しからば、ヘレンを爆弾人間にしろ。そしてスピルバンに抱きつかせて自爆。これが忠誠心というものだ。誠のな。貴様のまやかしの忠誠心など必要ないのだ。
Pandora relishes the idea, but knows acting it out will be to their own detriment.
それはなりません。
なぜですか。
ドクターバイオの生きがいを奪ってはなりません。戦闘生物を作らなくなってしまいますよ。そうなればワーラー帝国の損失、ヘレンをもっと大事に利用しなければ。
Singer Ichiro Mizuki portrayed both Dr. Ben and Dr. Bio.
スピルバンは強い。我がワーラー帝国最強の戦闘機械人。戦闘生物をことごとく跳ねのけた。
Dr. Bio was an intriguing villain because I loved that the show did not hesitate at all to reveal he was Dr. Ben, while also using Helen as his sole point of humanity to keep him in check. He also gave me a Baxter Stockman feel, as at one point he ends up becoming just a brain and eyes in a jar.
女王様、お助けください。ヘレンは私の命です。私は働きました。ワーラー帝国のために命の限り働きました。
You've lost weight. Of course it's me. Look around you. Do you think this facility would have been possible without my genius?
The Battle Lifeform army are created by Dr. Bio, which are organic creatures Pandora sends out in search of clean water. There are a trio of girls called the Spy Army made up of Riki, their leader, Shadow, and Gasher.
どうすればスピルバンの隙をつけるか。
スピルバンはあの発明家の店ではリラックスしています。
心を許し楽しそうです。かすり傷を負わせるだけで殺す。
Their job is to blend in with humans on the surface to either scope out new plot ideas or watch what Spielban and Diana are up to. At times, they are also sent to locate Helen so she may be used in their next scheme.
子供って可愛いわね。
あの子に怪我をさせたくないのならやめてください。
I don't know why, but I find it amusing that Shadow is clothed in gold armor while Gasher dons silver armor. I don't know, maybe it's because we have an S with G armor and a G with S armor? Anyway, they are played by Michiko Nishiwaki, Chiame Torado, and Mako Yamashina.
C 級ロボットを我がワーラー帝国の超高学技術で改造する。
破壊工作ロボットにして元の場所に返しておく。
Nishiwaki became known as Japan's first female powerlifting and bodybuilding champion and has even appeared in American films like Men on the Moon and Everything Everywhere All at Once, on top of doing stunts for Rush Hour 2 and Charlie's Angels.
やめろ。それに触るな、リッキー。触らないでくれ。頼む。
ドクターバイオ、あなたはもう
Riki should be cherished for all of her accomplishments in the show, while Shadow and Gasher amount to absolutely nothing.
花野博士、あなたの社会的信用と会社の植物販売力を利用させてもらいに来ました。
Just after the halfway point, a new villain from the future is introduced, who is a descendant of Water. His name is Emperor Guillotine, and he is played by Michael Brian Curtis.
工場では鏡の量産に入っている。古いものはどんどん新しい鏡に変えてあげなさい。
Curtis was part of a rock band in the late 60s called Mickey Curtis and the Samurai, and voiced the villain in the Cowboy Bebop movie. This 48-year-old is first introduced to us as a homeless man living in the year 2201. Water contacts him from the past and has a hamster servant bring him back in time to lead his forces against Spielban, citing that him being homeless is all thanks to Spielban's victories in the past.
ワーラーの末裔、ワーラーの正統の血を継ぐ義老鎮よ。
誰？
Guillotine spends his first few days studying Spielban until he is ready to reveal himself as Water's emperor.
巨大重力装置で月を引き寄せる。 大津波に見舞われその感激を縫って一気にスピルバン
アホちんぷんかんぷん口頭向けどうしてそう単純な発想しかできないのかねボケとるよあんた
I thought the introductory episodes were very clever and helped show how much of a threat he can be.
金色に光ったネズミのようなものが動かない方がいいよ頭が吹っ飛ぶよギロチ
通信機を出してもらおうか
Guillotine tries to force Helen to be his queen, only for her to refuse, so he creates robot copies of her to coerce Spielban into thinking she is joining the forces of evil. He is very ruthless and will take out anyone he deems unworthy of his presence like he does with Shadow and Gasher.
シャドウとガシャを爆弾にしたんですね
あんたでも誰でもよかったんだ
There is one final villain who reminds me of Raider and Sherivan, only this dude is sadly registered to a 5-episode arc, and that is the ghost-like Yoki.
何者だ
ようきあなたの命を狙う者
Yoki is brought to life to disrupt the status quo and does a damn good job of it. His first act is to take control of social elites and create a cult with them.
もう地位も名誉も全て得た使い切れないくらいのお金もある人ばかり
日本を代表する方々が集まって戦争ごっこですか
バカだね君は全てを得た者が行き着くところ
それは退屈というやつでね
生きてると実感できることダダダダダダダダダダダダダ
もっと血の騒ぐことをしましょう
そんなものがあんのかね
あります
This leads to them trying to kill Spielban, and when one of their identities is revealed, he has that individual killed. He tries to take over a town, furthering the cult mentality.
堂々たる死に昇格しますそんなバカな大学の先生や大先生様が嘘なんかつくはずはねえ
His true ambition is to take control of water. Why, you ask? We have no idea, and we don't really need to know. All you need to know is that this guy is badass. This dude takes no prisoners and goes all out on his ambitions. Masahiro Suda did a fantastic job with his androgynous character.
今回の戦略が成功すれば女王様はきっと私を招待してくれることでしょう。その時が勝負。
He would also go on to play Baron Awo in Jiraiya. While I did lament him only being around for a handful of episodes, he made an impact in them. He's also the one who sets in motion the events that bring Water's downfall. The grunts of the series are called King Klungs. They are black-clothed robotic soldiers with capes and goated faces that often look like they are very happy. Look at that smile. Aren't you a happy grunt? Oh. So that's why they're always happy. That makes a lot of sense. They have this interesting sound they make, and are just kind of cool grunts overall. There is a funny scene where they try not to be distracted by Diana by wearing blindfolds. I don't think that's gonna work the way you think it's gonna work.
これでもかぶらなくっちゃねこのタコ
Overall, I found myself really enjoying Water. They were a lot of fun, they all worked together quite well while having their own ambitions, they were threatening when needed to be, but not enough that their few moments of silliness felt out of place.
姉さんどうした
と近寄ったところ
まあそういうわけ
さすがギローチン様いやこ
I did enjoy the complexity with Dr. Bio being unsure as to where his loyalties resided, his daughter or water. While most of the battle robots and battle life forms were forgettable, there were a few that stood out, such as a cowboy who tried to shoot down Spielban, one creature that could clone any human it ingested, a transforming truck, a motorcycle who was black in bike form but red in robot mode, and a movie camera bot. The effects and music. As with the series before it, the effects and music to Spielban is simply amazing. Specifically, the stunt work. It was so nice to see a cast performing their own stunts again, especially the titular hero. Watari is just incredible when it comes to fight scenes, and this is really highlighted during a very late episode as he was being chased by a movie studio crew who are underwater as control. That was one of the biggest highlights for me. Fight choreography is quite good too. There's a couple of good bike chase scenes. On the other hand, there's nothing special about Spielban's bypass slip compared to the ones found in the Space Share series, as he just transports everyone to a good, old, boring-ass gravel pit.
バイパススリップとは市民や町を戦いに巻き込まないために物質移動波を利用して戦場を一時的に移動させるシステムのことである。
It means you're going to be seeing this gravel pit a lot.
で、戦場を一時的に移動させるシステムのことである。
In these reviews, I typically ignore talking about the lip syncing to shows given the actors usually re-record their lines in studio for better quality. This was a thing going back to the inception of Japanese TV shows. Sometimes the lines don't always sync up fully, but it rarely bothers me. Plus, being focused on the subtitles often helps it not being as noticeable. However, the lip syncing for Daigoro is dreadful. There were many times where his voice did not match his face and body language at all, as if he had decided to ad-lib his dialogue rather than stick to the script he initially performed.
私の理論が正しければ、その原子の隙間を広げることで透明人間になることができるのである。いやいや。
It was very distracting and was also a key factor as to why I disliked his character. Michiaki Watanabe reprised his job as composer. If you have seen the 4 series before Spielban, you should pretty much know what to expect in the music department, as there are a few rehashed tracks on top of some new ones that are really good.
誰もいない。
だから逃げろと。そうですね、お父様。
Mizuki also sang the opening and both closing themes while voicing Bio. The self-titled opening is a pretty bouncy song that fits with the tones of the previous Metal Hero shows. The first 10 episodes feature the closing song, Kimi no Nakama de Spielban, which was very sleep-inducing. It's quite slow-moving and sounds like something you would sing to a child. You want to go to bed. Audiences were welcome with a new ending theme from episode 11 onwards, titled Keshoda Spielban, which was an improvement, though it has some oddities to it, like Mizuki calling out Diana mid-song. It's not my favorite of the closing songs across the series I've watched so far, but it is enjoyable. The episodes. Spielberg is one of those shows where I enjoyed nearly every single episode. I say nearly because there was only one episode I truly disliked, which revolved around Daigoro, and it turned out to be for the very last time. As I already mentioned, I did not like Daigoro and was kind of pleased he hadn't shown up in the last several episodes. Then suddenly, the Dangerous Circuit's sudden hidden attack happens, and my response was, well, shit. We get to meet Daigoro's mentor, Dr. Ono, who is just as dumb as he is.
これより我が21世紀生活研究所が長年の苦心の末ようやく完成させたヒューマノイドすなわち人間型ロボットの完成パーティーを開く
Oh no is right. Oh no, I have to deal with this character again?
あ、ちょっと大五郎さんとんかつ食べてるこれがチョコレートこれがパン
They have created a workoroid, a robot helper, who disappears in the middle of the night with the rest of Ono's machines. Oh no! As expected, they were taken under the control of water, so it was up to Spielban and Diana to get them back. The episode was boring and stupid, but I think the worst part was a scene where Spielban acts very cowardly. It feels very out of character. One of Spielban's strong points is how story-driven this series is. Juspion was kind of the same way, but whereas Juspion threw out a lot of filler stories in the beginning of the show, Uehara did the opposite here, and the first 9 episodes are pure plot buildup. Everything revolves around Spielban and Diana getting used to their fights against water, on top of learning Helena is still alive and trying to rescue her. We've got the Helvira stuff as well that kicks off right in episode 4. It's a nice change of pace. Having a strong pair of lead actors helped too. It did get a little filler heavy in the teens, and then again in the mid-20s, but nothing was ever bad enough where you felt like they were struggling for ideas. Nevertheless, Spielberg really felt as if Uehara was taking all of his concepts that worked in previous series and meshed them together for one grandiose finale as head writer. Therefore, picking a favorite episode is a bit tough as there were a lot to choose from. I considered the movie studio one I mentioned earlier because of all of Watari's incredible stunts that was also complemented by some really weird music. The one with the Mecha Gunman was another superb story. As was an episode revolving around a village where it takes over that features a theme song for our villains that reminded me of the strange song from Shider. Same goes for Guillotine's introductory episode.
研究の邪魔をしようとしたからだ。今大事なところなんだから。
あの男を片付けろ。
However, I think I'm gonna have to say that Yoki's first full episode, Mumamu, Wara's new war power equal Yoki, was my favorite. Yoki just makes a great first impression when he enters the Wara base that you know he's not a character to be trifled with. Add on top him influencing the rich into bowing to him, leaving Spielban to contend with normal everyday people, and you have one badass episode. Although, upon thinking about it, a cult of rich people manipulated by a single dude to follow him seems a little too realistic right now. The episode is enhanced by a creepy atmosphere with excellent sound design and camera angles. Spielban was pure delight that even the negatives could not hinder my enjoyment of it. I loved practically every minute of the show, and having two female co-stars that could transform helped. I am going to give Jikuu Senshi Spielban a solid 5 out of 5 grown-ups in spandex. I don't know what it is, but Watari has been the star in what has become my top 2 favorite Metal Hero series, and he was my favorite character in Juspion. This dude just works for me. I wonder if he appears in any other Metal Hero series as a main character. Guess time will tell. Until then, bye!
Have some goddamn faith!